When the planning was completed, Library Movers of America Miss Harland, I imagine you see books whizzing by you when you go home at night.
Just sometimes I do.
This is quite a task. You've had the job of moving how many volumes in periodicals?
Around 100,000 periodicals bound.
And how many volumes?
I don't know. We subscribe to about 6,000 titles, so it's 5 floors in the old building, roughly, that we'll be moving to this building.
So we're talking about maybe 750,000 in numbers, 750,000?
No, there's 100,000 volumes, bound volumes, and of just the periodicals alone.
Let's take that over. That's not funny.
Yeah.
Just keep it going.
Yeah, I misunderstood.
That's all right. I don't think you can hear me too well.
It's difficult.
Miss Harland, how did you engineer the moving task?
Well, first I read some books on other libraries that had moved and found out roughly the pattern. I corresponded and conversed with the man at ISU because they moved their library a year or so ago, and he gave me some very helpful hints, and little by little it began to unfold. I've worked on it for the last year.
This is quite a job. You're moving how many pieces of material?
Roughly around 700,000 total in the whole library.
And it comes out of the old library and into the new just as it's going to be used?
No, it comes from where it comes there. We have to send it to different locations here, so it's going in 4 and 5 different places at once as we unload it. We tried to label each floor so that we get it to the right spot on this end, and we number each truck, and hopefully it comes in consecutive form.
But when it's moved, it goes right to where it's going to be used by the students.
Right, exactly. We've labeled each shelf that we know roughly where everything is going.
Could you tell us what is the biggest single problem you have?
Well, the biggest problem is figuring out how to get the books on the shelves. I did it each, for the books and the periodicals both. I did it about 3 times because you try to figure maybe 2 feet on a shelf, and then you've got to go to 30 inches or 12 inches. And it took, I would say, about a month on each group trying to get it organized to get it fit on the shelves here.
How much preparatory time did you put in on this project?
Well, I've been working full-time all summer, and I've worked many, many hours at home at nights and Saturdays and Sundays.
Of course, your deadline was the opening of school when students return.
Right. We hope to get done a few days before school starts, so we can begin on September, the beginning of school. Almost done.
Mr. Sowder, your firm, Library Movers of America, have made several major library moves.
That's correct.
And some of them were?
Indiana University, Indiana State, University of Tennessee, Oklahoma State Department of Libraries.
Do the moves vary somewhat, I suppose, depending on the number of volumes, but you must have other problems, too?
Well, yeah, they vary considerably. The big factor, of course, is the staff, the library staff, how well organized they are, and so on.
Was the Ball State staff well organized?
Yeah, very well.
What are some of the problems you've encountered?
We really, encountered no major problem. Just a slight miscalculation here and there as to the space required, but the swing of things.
And you have how long a period to complete the move?
We have, I believe, until September the 5th.
Have about 3 weeks, do you?
That's correct.
Now, the old library in proximity to the new library is about 3 or 4 blocks. Are your moves usually this short a distance?
Well, in most cases, of course, in most cases where it's a university or a college, it's an on-campus sort of thing where the new building is not too far from the old building. But I'd say the most distant move might be 4 or 5 miles, something like that.
In our historical collections and some of the other collections, you have some very valuable books, magazines, and newspapers. How do you protect these?
Well, they're moved similar to the method that we're using for the majority of the collection, but we take special care with regard to security and so on while we're moving that particular type of item.
Have you ever had any accidents in moving a library?
No, not really. No, none.
Have you had any unusual problems with the Ball State move that you haven't had with the others?
No, we're getting along real fine.
Good. Does it look as though you will meet your deadline?
Yeah. We actually had a goal of getting done in about 2 weeks, but we wouldn't bother us if it went a day or two over that, or 2 or 3 days. But we will definitely be done by the 5th.
You allow yourself a few extra days.
Yeah.
Mr. Sowder, about the logistics, how many students are involved in the move?
We've hired about 35 Ball State students, and then we have there are 7 people here that from Bloomington. Well, about 4 or 5 of those have been on a number of moves, and then there are a couple of fellows that do have degrees in library science from Indiana University that are here helping us.
How many trucks are involved?
We have 2 road trucks to transport the books from the old building to the new building, and then we have about 150 little book trucks, as we call them, that we use.
It'd be interesting if you could tell us briefly just how you move this many books.
Well, each one of the little book trucks is loaded at the old building and marked as to where it is to be located in the new building. And those are kept in order then, transported about 20 at a time over the road to get to the new building. And then they're taken off here, regrouped in order, and then sent up the elevator to the proper floor and reshelved in order.
And hopefully without any disruption in the series.
Right. There are always a few books that have fallen back behind the shelving or this, that, and the other, but the collection should come through 99.9% in order. The staff here will, I'm sure, go through and read each shelf after we're done, but there'll be a very minimal amount of rearrangement necessary.